Welcome to MyCounselor.Online. I'm Cassie, and today I have the privilege of chatting with one of our awesome clinicians, Jacob Wilhelm, about his article, Newborn, New Parents, New Problems. If you have ever been a parent of a newborn, it can be so overwhelming, and I love how Jacob digs into the emotional and the physiological challenges. He gives some really interesting, insightful information, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So let's go chat with Jacob. Jacob, thanks for meeting with me today.
Absolutely, I'm glad to be here.
I am looking forward to talking to you about your article. So let's just jump right in.
Sounds great.
So you recently actually became a parent for the first time.
I did. That's what kind of inspired the article in some ways.
Very cool. So you've experienced some of this for yourself, I'm sure, either by you or your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. Like when our little baby girl came, I wanted to know what was going to happen. So I'm like, I'm going to research. I'm going to try and learn. So absolutely.
That's smart.
I try to get a little prepared.
Yeah. So one of the first things you talk about in your article are signs of postpartum depression, because I think that's an important one. And so could you talk about like things that, especially I think women, we're like in the midst of caring for this new baby. So I think sometimes our spouses can have a little bit more of a distant view. They're not so much in the forest, they are, but they can see a little bit more a difference in change of personality. Or so talk a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. So there are a couple things that are pretty common for the mom after having the baby. Something that's substantially more common is something called baby blues, and it depends on the severity and also the length of time that the symptoms are around that the mom is experiencing. But within the baby blues section of women that experience it, there's also a subset of women that experience postpartum depression. That can occur like 10 to 20% of women within like the baby blues range. But some common symptoms to look out for the mom to try and take some maybe an inventory, or the husband just to have an observing eye, not a judging eye, but observing eye, would be to take note of the mood. Like, is the mom experiencing a depressed mood or mood swings or crying, or even when there's difficulty bonding with the baby, that kind of even lends itself to what's going on a neurochemical level as well. So feeling fatigued, having unusual sleeping habits, eating habits, being irritable. So those are some fairly common symptoms that the new mom may experience.
That makes a great transition into my next question, which is about physical symptoms. I love how in your article you talk some about like the chemistry of what happens to a mom after she has a baby, during pregnancy and then after. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Absolutely. So once a mom has the kiddo, the little baby, a lot of things are happening, right? And something that's pretty common that that helps the baby and the mom bond, but also is pretty common when a baby and mom is not able to bond, is a little neurochemical called oxytocin. And oxytocin has a variety of benefits to the individual, but if there's a lack of oxytocin within the mom, right, it can inhibit bonding with the baby. And sometimes that lends itself to mom questioning, like, is something wrong with me? Like, do I not love the baby? But it has nothing to do with the mother's love for the child, but there's a little bit of a chemical imbalance that's not their fault.
Yeah, that's so good, I think, for women to hear, because yes, I think fearing to bond with your baby is something every mom fears when she's pregnant, that it won't happen for you. And then if you have your baby and you don't immediately bond with your baby, immediately you're very upset and you feel like there's something wrong with you, but it could just be your biology.
Right, absolutely.
Which is very treatable.
So it is. So in some cases, it just takes time. right? It just takes time, and also having the space to talk to someone as well. So if there is a lot of stress, if there's a lot of things going on internally, it's not going to help with that bonding process. So some treatable ways is simply talking to a professional, talking to a therapist that you can navigate through some of those feelings, and like doing simple things to help bond, such as cuddling, staring into the eyes of the baby. Even if the baby doesn't want to open their eyes very much, stare at your partner's eyes. That'll actually activate more oxytocin in the brain as well. So those are, if the baby's kind of being a little difficult, look at your partner.
Yeah, that is amazing. It also reminds me of how you talked about dads can experience postpartum depression too.
Yeah, yeah. Dads can have some, not necessarily the baby blues, but they can have some postpartum depression as well. Likewise, which is pretty cool, like how God created us to be in relationship. We have influence of each other, right? Even on a chemical level that we're not aware of. But hormones within the father as well can go up and down, increase and decrease. And that can affect mood as well, for sure. And in extreme cases, it can go even to like you're actually imitating some signs of pregnancy, such as nausea, vomiting, fatigue. But that's quite rare. But yeah, husbands can experience that as well.
That is so fascinating.
It is. It is kind of mind blowing.
Yes, it is amazing how God just created us to come together so effectively as one that we could literally physically mimic the symptoms of each other.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating. It's really humbling.
Yeah. So what do you want to say? What do you recommend to help during this season of transition for couples to, there's so much focus on the new baby and they do take up so much time,
Right.
energy, all the things. So what do you recommend for couples to help keep their relationship strong because they're the foundation?
Right. Absolutely. So a couple things that I think will be important is, first of all, having a good self-evaluation. Take a self-inventory. What am I experiencing? And asking those questions: how well am I doing? How well am I connecting with my spouse or with my partner? And once you start having those conversations, really digging deep, really evaluating how much time you are connecting with your spouse. What might be influencing that? Are you having intense expectations? Are you comparing yourself to other parents? How are you viewing this time? Is it time that's valuable for learning, or do you expect perfection? So those are some really good things to ask, and also having the moment of honesty and vulnerability with your spouse as well, because your partner might be experiencing something similar as well, and that could really help your spouse connect and like move on and survive and thrive.
Open up that door, you taking the step forward to open that line of conversation that might be challenging for them. When you they might follow suit.
Absolutely. And sometimes we need a third party, right? Another pair of ears to kind of navigate through this time, so we can connect, we can figure out what's going on, and it can be really difficult navigating through some of the emotions. So even talking to a professional, a therapist, counselor to navigate through that can be really beneficial as well, because the relationship is worth it. You're worth it.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time, and thanks for writing this article.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
That was super cool. I really loved hearing that postpartum depression is so treatable, and how fascinating that our bodies can truly mimic each other all the way down to our biology. God's design is so incredible. Thanks for checking out this article, and you can find more articles on our website at MyCounselor.Online.